Hi, Ryan Michael Galloway here with We Don't Need No Stinking Record Company.com, and we are getting ready to talk to Dave Williams in the next few nights. Dave is from the Vault Studios down in Houston, and as I mentioned, he's a phenomenal drummer and recordist and engineer. He's a real good producer. He's been in the record business for a long time and been involved in some stuff that you've actually heard about. Well, in any case, I want to talk a little bit about, in preparation for that, we're talking about recording different instruments. I'm really going to zero in on drums with him because they're some of the most difficult things to do. But I want to talk about guitar a little bit tonight and how you record, especially an acoustic guitar. And there's a couple of ways you can do it, but fundamentally, you want to point the microphone not right in the hole where it will rumble, but you want to listen to what the sound is like coming right off the top part of the neck. And it's very, very frequently people will put a microphone right there. And then of course, when you play it, you got to make sure you don't hit that microphone. Now, is that always the way you want to record? No. If you start moving that microphone to the side, you start getting the ambient noise in the room. Issue about that is if you've got a room that's giving you a sound that's kind of interesting and you want to capture it, great. If you don't, you might get ambient sounds that you can't control. When you record the way I told you the first time, where it's positioned right at the top part of the neck, then you're in a position where you might want to add reverb and room echo and that kind of thing with the electronics that you have the electronic capabilities you have in your studio setup, and then you're in complete control of what you're getting. The stuff that allows you to pick up the sound of the room is much more organic. It's uncontrollable, but sometimes turns out very, very cool. And if you have experimented enough, then you know what sounds good and what doesn't. Another thing is about guitars in general is some guitars have a very flat frequency response. They don't rumble down around the A like a common one that rumbles down, that gives you a lot of bass frequency down in the low A range of the guitar is the Martin D35 as an example, and the D28's got a fairly deep voice as well. An Ovation, which has got and I realize that it's pretty much an older guitar these days, but an Ovation that's got a plastic or fiberglass or what is it? It's a composite bowl that's usually used for building aircraft and engine housings and that kind of thing. That is shaped to have a very flat, even response all across the board. It's a little easier to record, and then you can add some of the tonalities that you want later on. Now, in general, recording anything, I want you to start with enough highs. You can always turn those trebles down in the playback, but if you add treble after the fact, if you add the high part after the fact, that's really high, chinky, brittle sounding notes up at the top. If you add that after the fact, you're going to add hiss with it. It was a little more critical when we were analog than when we're digital now, because things are so much quieter than they used to be. But it's still an issue. You'd rather run with a little extra treble and be able to cut it back during the mix than have to add it. So that's just a little bit of advice about recording guitars and getting that sound that you want. And I am Ryan Michael Galloway, and We Don't Need No Stinking Record Company.com.